Joe, the holy war this week, BYU versus Utah. Big game in the Big 12 here. Utah kind of getting their legs back up under them after the Texas Tech game. BYU continues to find ways to win. When you look at the holy war this week, how you see it going down?
Blake, as I was saying in the preview or at the beginning of the show in the introduction, I think that this BYU team is unjustifiably ranked as high as they are. I think that LJ Martin is a fantastic running back. I love watching that kid run. He runs super hard. I'm excited to kind of get my eyes on him as a draft prospect because he's just such a pounder, 652 yards on the ground so far this year. But the way that they hung around with Arizona and they needed overtime to beat them, as well as the rest of their schedule, not really beating anyone super confidently and defiantly, it makes me feel very off. I think that the Utah performance against Texas Tech has legitimately altered our perspective on who they are. They have bounced back big time since that game. They are favored by 3.5 points, and I think the books know that they are the better team in this matchup. The biggest thing for me, Blake, is that this Utah defensive line is insanely good. Their front seven is insanely good. John Henry Daly, 8 sacks on the year, quietly one of the most productive defensive ends in college football. Lander Barton's one of the most gifted linebackers in college football, who they even have used at tight end this season. I think that this Utah squad is regaining their footing, and I say this all the time in college football. Teams are allowed to get better. A bad game against Texas Tech, I do not think reflects on who they are and is more of just of a depiction of how good Texas Tech is, not that Utah is a weak team in this circumstance.
So when I look at Utah, look, you look at them and say, oh, well, who are they? Because that, like you mentioned after the Texas Tech thing, I don't know who this BYU team truly is. Because we talked about this earlier. They're trailing to Arizona. They're trailing to Colorado. They got to come back in multiple spots, and they do. And you can't take it away from them that they found ways to win. The issue that I have right now going into this game, even though it's a rivalry game and anything can happen in rivalry games, when I look at this, can you do that against Utah? And I don't know if you can. So if you're going to win this game, you better play out with a lead. The interest somebody on the Discord just hit us up. It's Marshall probably talking about A&M and LSU. Who knows? But when I do look at Utah, Joe, and I look at what they do, they're the number one team in the country on third down offensively. They don't get off the field. Now, the Texas Tech game, they were unable to stay on the field, and that's where most of their third down inefficiencies came. You got to make Dampier one-dimensional, Joe. You got to make him sit in the pocket and throw the football. And if you can do that, you have a chance. I thought that's relatively what Texas Tech did the best, is limiting him, and when he did break contain, not allowing him to get past the line of scrimmage and throw the football. I don't know if BYU's got enough to be able to contain him, not constantly. So when I look at this entire situation, this entire game, I don't know if there's anything that BYU does or can do outside of schematically that would be able to slow him down for 4 straight quarters. He's going to have to continue to make mistakes. In reference to that, Dampier has made mistakes. Now, Utah fans will come in here and say, no, he hasn't. Brother, yes, he has. Look at the interceptions. Look at the decision-making and the throws that he's made. Just because he's not getting picked off doesn't mean he's not making bad decisions. I look at this game and say I think they're going to lean on BYU, and they're going to lean on for all 4 quarters, and BYU is going to break, and this one's going to go for Utah.
I'm a lot higher on Devon Dampier than you are, and he has been –
I just don't like the bad decision-making and the interceptions.
Okay.
I don't like –
I think that when he is more activated as a runner, he is a more free-playing quarterback, and he's a much better playmaker. He's got 378 yards rushing, leading the team right now, and Wayshawn Parker has 6.4 yards per carry, which is super impressive. I like Dampier, and I think that if we're looking at the quarterback matchup, I have to take Dampier over Bachmeier, who's a freshman.
Agree with that. I agree with that.
And I watched it back the Arizona game, man. Bachmeier, he's got a lot of guts. He's a tough kid. He did some great things as a runner, but it's a little too soon. It's a little too soon to invest in a freshman. he's got a lot of work he's got to do. And some of his mistakes that he made as a passer nearly cost them the game. That was the real pivot point against Arizona. Going up against a Kyle Whittingham defense, having turnovers is going to completely do you in. It is going to completely cook you. I'm fearful if Bachmeier takes a couple of early sacks, and if we end up seeing a pick or two from him, or just one, a short field for Dampier is enough to set them up and then to control the momentum of the game. So that's the biggest reason why, Blake, I'm really in on Utah. And I know this on the road, it's going to be really tough to win in that environment. We talk about how both these home environments are really, really amazing and underrated in college football. Utah, to me, I think is going to be able to get the job done.
BYU is going to have to stay ahead of the sticks. Joe, they're 11th in the country in rushing and having 238 yards per game. The problem is, to your point, Joe, they can't throw the ball. They can't. I wish we would have aired our off-air conversation about this, but I'm going to leave that alone. Okay. Defensively, they haven't been bad. They're just going to have to stay ahead of the sticks and keep Utah's offense off the field. I mean, it's duality of styles in the sense of you got to out Utah and the history of Utah by being Utah in a lot of ways. Joe, I got to be real with you. I watch this BYU team, and I know that they're at home, and in a rivalry game, anything can happen. And this team is undefeated, and we shouldn't just say, oh man, they're not good, they're going to lose. We shouldn't do that. But man, I can't do it. I think Utah's going to roll. Give me for them to win. Give me the points. And I just think that they're going to lean on them so much, and ultimately BYU is going to get down, and they're going to have to throw the football late in the game to get back into this, and they're not going to be able to.
By the way, it's a random note. No, well, all I was going to say is that I didn't realize Bear. I was trying to confirm that he was a true freshman. I didn't realize Bear had this stupid BYU website. Oh, this website stinks. Wait 1 second. His brothers' names are Tiger and Buck. And he's also got Hank and Hank Bachmeier was the quarterback at Boise State and then at Wake Forest. But I like the bit that we got going on here with Bear, Tiger, and Buck. What I was going to say, though, about Bear.
You think they go hunting?
Well, they're from Murrieta, California, so I don't know if it's a big hunting area or not. Here's my thing, though. When was the last time that we can think of a team with a true freshman quarterback that team was a top 15 caliber team? Because that's the
Trevor Lawrence.
And he was special.
If you remember now, the first couple of starts and the first couple of run, I mean, he didn't start the season. He ended it. I mean, it wasn't great for Trevor Lawrence and the boys.
That's the point, though, is that being a true freshman has its
That's what I'm trying to. Right. That's what I'm trying to.
He's shown them.
Look, I'm not trying to. I just don't trust what I've seen from BYU. I think when you play with enough fire, you're going to get burned. You haven't gotten burned yet. You play with fire this week, you're getting burned, brother. I'm just going to let you know right now. All right.